here we go. Frater. Here we are in London. Ha! It's nice, very nice day, I guess. Very nice. I guess. Oh, yeah. This is the London town, London. Oh no, Billy, don't be saying silly things. Frater, why did we just teleport here? What is it? Um, well, sometimes you do things because sometimes things are a little scuffed. Well, I could kind of imagine, Frater. Um, so um, so we're in London now, right? So well, wait a minute, we just flew in the sky. Why are we flying in the sky like a bird in the sky? Why? Um, well, you know how we do everything kind of scuffed. Well, of course, Frater. That's how we do things here. We kind of do things very scuffed. Yeah, I see the London Eye or whatever. Millennial Wheel, or they used to call it the Millennial Wheel. I remember at one point, and I'm gonna go over here and get some of that fruit. Billy, come on. Yeah, so Frater, there's been some changes I've noticed. Uh, 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 what do you mean, like me or something? No, not you. I'm talking about there's been changes to Metrotrecica. There's been changes to our general setup. Frater? I noticed that we're no longer on Frater. We're no longer on Billy Gates's operating system now, are we? No. Oh, that's kind of nice. Yeah, apparently, Doc Matrick kind of brought up that we are now on Linux, Zorin Linux, which is apparently like the closest thing you can get to Windows, but on Linux, because he was saying, and well, I guess even over in the Satterground production side, that they've agreed to also to just update their whole system to Linux, and with generally the idea that we are, that we were. Sometimes, Google Earth sometimes it like is a little bit glitchy. Well, I could kind of imagine Frater. Yeah, it's very glitchy. I seem to remember it worked better at one point of time, and um. So yeah, Billy's got a hot dog. He tastes pretty good. He pretty good hot dog. Hey, it's too bad Pooh Guppy not here to see it. Well, Pooh Guppy's a wanted man. I mean, technically, what the heck, Frater? What, Frater? What is this, Frater? I feel weird. Yeah, like where are we? Is that Shrek exhibit? I think it is. Oh my, that's something else. It fish are really big, Frater. That's some really crazy stuff. I mean, oh, Frater, this is wild. I gotta say, I gotta be honest with you, buddy. This is a wild idea. I think last year, Pooh Guppy and that Doc, was it Frater? What is this? Act now over 70 million sharks. Frater, what have you gotten ourselves into? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, we're now in our hotel room. I feel like I got some kind of mental illness. Okay. Oh, hey, we can watch TV. You got the BBC. And we got all the ITV, the CBB. Yay! We can watch it all, Raider. Yeah, I guess we can. So we gotta kind of talk. Last year when we did this whole London trip, well, last year we had to describe it. Yeah, yeah, it was really scuffed. we were And actually, we need to kind of address something. If you go back to those old videos, you'll kind of notice we seem to be gun ho that we were actually going to be going on a real trip. Like the person we outside of all this is actually going to go to London and never did. We chickened out because we just didn't want to spend the money. It just seemed dumb. Yeah, spend the money, and then you hear about the crime rate, and you hear about the crime issues, and now it's only just coming out about that they go on motorbikes and stuff like that to steal from you and stuff like that. Frater, this is really nuts. I thought Google Earth was a little more like easier to work with. Yeah, I thought so too. As far as controlling it and stuff, yeah, it's pretty scuffed. It wasn't so bad a couple days ago. I mean, but well, it is what it is, as I say. It is what it is. We can try, buddy, to Freighter. Where are we? Good question. Okay, so I guess Freighter's gonna get us back on straight here, back on track here. Um, yeah, there's Waterloo. That's kind of like I'm gonna just kind of try to take us to like right by the Millennial Wheel, because seems like the controls aren't really really good. Okay, well that's a nice one right there. So yeah, so as we mentioned before, we're on Linux, and as you kind of notice, it's a bit jarring because, we're, as you can see, Frater made it look like Windows 98 or Windows 95. Well, it's more like 95, actually. Okay, I mean, that's kind of crazy. That's kind of nuts. So, yeah, so we're on Windows. You can see, I mean, even the startup menu is pretty much got that same look. If you research the different startup menus of Windows, that's 95, 98. Because really 98 wasn't that much different from 95. Maybe starting to get a little more sleeker because it was actually 16-bit. Yeah. Okay, so the good news, guys, I finally got the controls back on stack here. Well, that's the thing is, Frater, like, Google Earth's a bit weird. When I say weird, um, that's nothing. Like, Google Earth is actually like it's so weird sometimes that like you can find yourself in the middle of a building somewhere. I know, like I was in the middle of some like county jury or something like that, or some kind of some weird kind of like city hall kind of thing. That was kind of cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. It would be nice if I could just teleport there. That would be kind of cool just to walk around and then teleport home. But it costs money. It costs a lot of money. And sorry to say, I only like to have money in the background as just a support system in case things don't really turn out well. Well, I think a lot of people wouldn't have the problems that it is if they had that mindset. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of nice. I mean, it's not a lot of content. I mean, last year we really had content. We had Pook Up the Adams and stuff. And yeah, Yeah, we have Pugapi, and we have our storylines, Billy. We got to keep to certain things, and I'll let you know. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. We're everything like this recording right here. We're going through a lot of growing pains, okay? Because we got to do everything in a Linuxy way. It's like, oh, it's a bottle. That's actually pretty good. I've heard that in nowadays London has gotten to be like to the point of India to certain points of its garbage. Is it that bad now? Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is not very good right here. I mean, they probably for propaganda reasons should have probably had someone a street cleaner go through real quick and have the Google guy quickly run through before they repopulate the garbage and. Uh, it kind of smells out here, Frater. Well, yeah, generally, garbage smells. Yeah, I mean, there's Frater. That garbage can is totally full to the brim. I mean, didn't you used to work in service and retail and had to kind of like empty out bins sometimes? Yeah, yeah, I used to empty out with the garbage can. Back in the days. Back in the days, and used to do that. And so no, I mean, this gives us something to work with. I mean, last year we had nothing. We kind of just had to make stuff up. We had to have Billy and Pookapi Adams have a brawl out in the Thames. That was kind of funny. Yeah, we were kind of figuring doing it again, but I don't know. Well, look, guys. We've had look. July is our hardest month. We have a considerable amount of content to make to amuse ourselves. That's kind of how it is. Because it's like, you do realize sometimes there's like maybe like there's either 0 views or 5 people watching, maybe 3 people, maybe 2, maybe not even that sometimes. I know, and it's like, no, you don't understand. This is our own little like hobby. Some people put models together. Some like old men used to like to put trains together. This is our train. Oh dear, my throat. It is a train. Oh right, but it's more fun than that. Also gives you a reason to look into video games you normally wouldn't play. And I'll be the honest thing. There's something that I didn't think I would be able to do on Linux. And but I did it on the Steam Deck. Oh, here it comes, Frater. Yeah, you were working on this last night. Yeah, the retro deck. Oh my gosh. Oh yes, 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 yes. That was good times. So I don't got all the games I used to have on the Steam Deck, but I have like decent amount. Um, understand when you upload your ROMs, do understand this is not automatic. First thing you got to make sure your ROM works. Some of my ROMs are really old. Um, like it's a little loud, I know, but but you get everything. You oh time killers. Oh, that's violent. Yeah, that's very loud. It's very loud, and you won't be able to hear us if But we we got all these NES games, and understand it when you first upload it to the retro deck. You always got to test the ROM because you may have a bad ROM. Because trust me, you can upload it and you can upload it, and guess what, buddy? It doesn't mean it works. It just sort of like accepts whatever you upload, as long as it's in a zip file. Um, then you have to go through the system of they have a built-in system. They have all the emulators for you. So this was really some of the easiest stuff. Um, so I have Super Nintendo, and really, I know you can say it, but you got the Kin Hank. I believe in the philosophy of backups. Yeah, it's actually really smart. Actually, they have backups. Well, it is. It's very smart to have some backups. In case, well, in case the Kin Hank is from China. It may not last forever. So it'll give you a short little micro description of the game and maybe whatever the purpose of the game is. You know. Then Sega Genesis, like I said, I got pretty much like you got all the football games. Yeah. Now this is a good example of how your game will look like when you upload it. Um, this was kind of a pain in the butt to do this, because what you have to do is you upload it, and then sometimes the name put on the actual ROM is not in the registry. It depends on who was curating this when they made that system. So like you'll go, I'm going to do this as a short thing. We're doing all this from London. Yeah, we are, Billy. You do this game's metadata. Now I'm going to show you how like a pain in the ass it could be because you don't know um, how they put it into the registry. See, like in YouTube and Google and so much other things, you don't even sometimes have to worry if you spelled it right. It'll find the equivalent. It seems to be smart enough to find that equivalent. Um, we don't use we use Google as far as Google Earth and email and stuff, but we haven't totally de-Google-fied, but they have some good. We use the stuff that's still good. Like okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna hit scrape, and you're gonna see some of the problems that can come your way. So it's working, and it says no games found. You're like, wait, NHL '95 existed. So what you got to do is play around. Now, sometimes, like in the case of Excite Bike, that one blew my mind. Is that you literally no joke? The Nintendo spells Excite Bike is one word, and then you go, well, wait, I had an English class. I had an English class, buddy, and it's like, well, guess what? Um, it doesn't matter, they said nope, nope. It's kind of like nerd, it's like ultra nerdy elitism. Like no, it's you have no space. All right, okay, but letting I even had a college English class. I'm just trying to be a little respectful. So I eliminated space here to see if nope, that's still not in the registry. I played this game as a kid, so I have a very fond memory of it. Um, you gotta be a kind of like autistic because you gotta spend a lot of time hunting this stuff. So then I thought about what ones I just put in 1995, and the answer is, does that work? No. Like, did someone just not put in AHL 95 into the registry of this thing, of the metadata? Um, Frater, yeah, that's so yeah. Frater just showed you what can be a problem. Oh well, Frater, you got an NHL hockey game right there. You didn't do. Yeah, I must. Well, it was getting to be 6 in the morning, bro. I just kind of like gave up on that. This is kind of, I'm gonna be honest. We didn't actually do any storylines really. I mean, it was a pretty good show. I mean, well, it's only part one of London, so okay, you're gonna go scrape that, huh? Yeah, yeah, it's exciting stuff. Frater, it happened again. No games found. Well, see, that's the problem. That it's not like a search engine. Like you would think, well, how about this? How about this? Okay, what about it? Why don't you just put in NHL? What would the search find? No games found. And you're like, what? Why? Because like, first off, NHL 96 is there. NHL 94 is there. So, the, what is this? Have we hit a glitch? Have we hit a glitch in the metadata? That because those other games that say NHL, I can't even find their listing. Frater, that doesn't make any sense. No, I mean this one's NHL PA, so well, you got the wrestling games, Altered Beast, and I like Altered Beast. Yeah. Now I know you're gonna say, well, this is the game segment now, right? And the answer is no. No, that's a separate thing. No, we got that all recorded and ready to go. And like I said, like so we got Simpsons, Time Killers, Mario. That was part of the Player's Choice 10. And there is actually an arcade version of Super Mario Brothers that actually has some slight little differences with levels and stuff. Just slight. It's more harder actually. WrestleMania the arcade game got Bret the Hitman Hart on the cover there. Bagman. Bagman was a. Oh, wait a minute here. Bagman is a game I found looking up arcade real life arcade cabinets on like restoration sites and also eBay back in the days when you could get one for like $200 or something like that. You know what I mean? Like sometimes they were projects. If you find one that's unrestored, that generally it's you know cheaper. Sometimes I'm sure you could get a lot cheaper if it's broke. Um, but nonetheless, I saw this wild yellow cabinet. You saw the picture of Bagman. It was like all yellow. It's like that, and it's a crazy little game. It's just an absolute crazy little game where you're kind of running around a mine shaft. There's like guys after you. You collect money bags, but you have to drop the bags sometimes to kind of stop the people who are chasing you. It's a kind of a cool little chase game. Um, then there's PC Engine. I have not done, as you can see, I've only just started that project to get the boxes and stuff. It's got China Warrior and a lot of these games, believe it or not, come from Japan. It's not all TurboGrafx 16. It's really a mix of TurboGrafx and PC Engine. There's like 230 games, and it's kind of crazy. I think that's about it. I went for the Genesis, Nintendo 64. So yeah, that's what we've been doing. Yeah, and that's it's a very great. Well, it's definitely a merry-go-round. You want to go faster? How about you go faster? Yeah, I want to go faster. Do you want to go faster? Oh yeah, yeah, faster. Freighter, freighter, freighter. Yeah, Mr. Peck. Freighter, what is this? It's garbage. Freighter. Could the Google Earth guy put the camera down and empty the garbage can out? I don't think that's above his pay grade. Okay. Well, meanwhile, Billy's on the merry-go-round. He's having a good time. And there used to be a merry-go-round in Washington D.C. My parents and me, we used to go to Washington D.C. and a very interesting little area. I mean, yeah, there's crime, but you know, but nonetheless, you got a lot of great like museums, and it's the nation's capital, and that's a freighter. What? Excuse me, freighter. What is that? Hey, what you guys? Hey, what is this? Freighter, I don't know. Uh, that's weird. Yeah, it looks like some kind of like the figure in contemporary sculpture. Oh, Frater, we're in some weird territory now. Frater, what has happened? I don't know. We're at night now. Frater. Oh, what? Frater, we're stuck. It's bonkers and it's British. Uh, I didn't know what. I'm kind of stuck. Frater. Well, what's the time right now? We got a good 27 minutes, actually. Well, it's about nighttime. It's probably time for a good nap or go back to the hotel room and play whatever we're playing on the Kinhank. I'm sure the British government is thrilled we're playing pirate Chinese games or something. Yeah, but hey, we're being thankful to our Chinese friends, and it's an exchange of goods and monetary goods. Yeah, that's really diverse. That's a really good point. Yeah, it's a very diverse point. Yeah, we got to do it. It's bonkers though. It's very bonkers. Oh yeah, this has been a special long show. Last episode was a bit scuffed. There was some things that happened. You'll kind of will start to notice. Like I said, this episode we're kind of taking it easy with using OBS to capture audio. Um, the the big problem we got to use Caden Live now as opposed to Clipchamp. I think we could still have access to Clipchamp with what's it the website. You can't download it, but you have a website. And to be honest, the TTS voices, like as far as characters and stuff, there's not a lot of characters. A lot of that stuff is kind of done, naturally. Well, that's a good thing for okay, you got unstuck. That's good. And who's that guy? I don't know, Frater. I don't know. Oh man, that's not good. That's strange stuff. Uh oh boy, that's a big problem about this. Oh, we're okay. Well, we'll go to the next segment, guys. Well, here we are. Well, not really live, but we're here from London, of course. Uh, in our imaginations, but for storyline purposes, we're there. We're there. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we didn't have to give our IDs either. Oh, yes. The yeah, but depicting on what I'm seeing on the screen, Frater, I think we might need to give our IDs though, because oh yeah, the girl in the bikini, yeah, the little anime girl, she's pretty hot. Oh, there's a lot of men nowadays that prefer it, there's there's men that like they're like, well, I'm attracted to 2D women. Those are 3D women. They actually call real women 3D women. Oh boy, I mean, hey, whatever floats your boat. I mean, women are tough to get for men to even hook up with nowadays. So, and then they cause them so much hell. I can't really blame them for. It's like back in the days, of imagination and stuff. So, Frere, I like last episode, I don't know what you're going to pick. Yeah, a lot of times, like, you don't understand. I spent just a couple minutes, before firing up the show, and have you guys come in. Yeah, you usually tell us, like, look, don't you come in here until I'm done, okay? And I'm like, all right. Do you need some antibacterial soap and some towels? And you're like, no, 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 that's not what I mean. And I'm like, we understand. We don't want to invade your privacy. No, no, I'm not like that. I don't. Dude, I'm not doing that. It's all right. It's okay. We understand. And just don't be give me a handshake or no, it's not what I mean. I know why you do that to me. I'm not in here. He's in the room by himself, and it's really quiet in there. And we come in, and he's got this picture of this girl on the screen, and I'm like, I understand. I don't. No, no, no. It's not like that at all. It's okay, buddy. Just I hope you weren't recording with OBS at the time. And no, I would never do that. Well, DSP did. Yes, right, Frater. DSP did that. Remember? Uh, the camera's on. Yeah, yeah, Frater. Uh, when that happened, like he was just dead inside. He was like, "How do I come back from this?" or something. So what's the game? What are we playing and stuff? Well, I guess the girl gives it's Athena for the arcade. It's a meme, meme sort of arcade Athena. That's how that yeah. Well, see, in our generation, most of us, I gotta admit though, the covers it is. It really gets the male. If you're some teenage kid out there back in the NES days or Famicom days, you're like, oh, I'm buying that. It's different time. Yeah. Well, Athena on the NES is generally considered pretty bad. Like, it's not the worst, but it's pretty bad. But hey, um, let's see here. This is a pretty hard platform game where you take the role of Athena, find your way through different worlds inhabited by all kinds of different enemies, ranging from moving pears. Oh, somebody didn't like pears. When they were programming this, they were going, you know what I don't like? Pears. And then that's going to be an enemy. Okay, moving pears to huge golems and flying devils. You started out with nothing more. The Grail is in the castle of. No, 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 no. It's in the castle of. "Arr!" In it, no, it's in the castle of. Hey. Well, that's actually closer, Billy. Yeah, Athena. I don't know if I played the arcade version when I was a kid. There was two malls. Usually, the one mall was like in a bigger mall, so there was more money, and so the mall that was more popular, they get the new stuff. They are all the new stuff. Um, Although I was very thankful for many years they kept their Star Wars arcade machine. They kept that until about 1990, 91, I would say. You can't expect them to keep a machine forever, but it must have been popular enough that they kept it as long as possible. Well, it breaks, things break. So we're in the arcade section. I don't know what you're gonna pick. It's crazy. I was going through all the PC Engine games. I was going through the Turbo Graphics and the CD, various CD versions. They have like a Super Graphics um, CD or something. I think that was the Europe version of the PC Engine. Because there's like PC Engine, there's Super Graphics, and then there's Turbo Graphics. Oh, that's a man, that's something. Frater. Speaking of history, I know like people at home are going like, "Are we gonna play the game?" Oh, in a couple minutes. It's just in case the game's really bad. Yeah, I don't want to really keep playing the same game for 30 minutes. Um, I'd rather just play for maybe 20 minutes or something. But it gives you a good 10 minutes to talk about it. Yeah. So, uh, like, um, oh man, I was like, I had something on my head here. Well, yeah. Well, like I said, I go through all these lists of games and stuff, and you know, and you know, uh, I mean, it's like take your pick. Hey, look, there's asteroids right there. That's a legendary game from the late '70s. I played that. I remember playing that in a there was a local business up in Pennsylvania, like in the mountains, like in the Alleghenies somewhere. It may have been out further east, for all I know, in Pennsylvania. And they had a cave. They had a cave, and they had a little business there, and I think they even had like a little place where you can go and pick up fossils, like from like piles of rocks. That was wild, and I still have some of those fossils, rocks with fossils in them. It's absolutely cool with like leaves and trilobites and stuff, and man, it makes me want to not do the show. Just start taking an anthropology class or paleontology or something. I got some paleontology types classes here. Um, well, I think we're trailing off, Frater. We're almost close to game time, actually. But yeah, but nonetheless, we never. But you were saying about the arcades. Oh yeah, I trailed off. Um, yeah, so like there was one arcade with all the new stuff, but then there was another mall that was sort of like older, and it was where all the old people went to. But there was still some stuff, like there was like a video game exchange, there was an arcade. That arcade was old. Like it I looked up its history of what people thought of that mall at the time. Just like researching people's opinions, from like your Facebook or whatever. And apparently, there was a time that they didn't even have arcade games. They just had like, like sort of gimmicky games, and sort of a little carnival kind of amusement type games, pinball games, things like that. And oh, that's something. Well, it's about time. It's about that time. We're gonna find out, is Athena really as bad? Well, Frater, if I taking by the sound of this audio, that we screwed up somewhere. Um, yeah, did I mention earlier in the show about growing pains? Frater, you mentioned about a lot of kinds of pains. Uh, so if you're listening to this, this episode has been like very scuffed. It's very weird because there's points where there is actually very good audio. Not with this, not with this, and in fact, what was worse is Athena. The problem with the Kinhane Council, not all the audio of the games is not all created equally. So some of the audio is actually quite bad. Like some of it's not that bad, not that bad, and then all of a sudden you'll get a game that's like "Brrr," it's like super loud. I mean, well, you need to understand, I mean, back in the days, I'm sure some people might be too young. I mean, but some people who do remember the arcades, I mean, they were loud. I mean, some of those machines were like literally screaming at you, "Hey, get over here and play me." And so yeah, I mean, so the experimentation with Linux has been very fascinating. Unfortunately, and I'm breaking fourth wall here. I usually try not to insert that Freighter's H have anything to do with Metrotrecica. Um, let's not be well. Yeah, I am. I'm pretty much in control of most of this. Um, so, s- so with the making these episodes, well, I was using Caden Live there, and it's kind of cool. It's pretty cool, but you just gotta make sure not to be too ambitious because, like, I was trying to like. You'll notice earlier in the episode, trying to like um put pictures on a video, like just put some pictures in. Clipchamp doesn't have that problem. Well, of course, you'll notice I had the pictures. You kind of went, "Did you go back to Clipchamp?" Yes. Yeah. What happened was I tried to render the episode I had made, and first off, it wouldn't allow me to even put. Well, as far as I know, yeah, I wasn't able to find the option to do so. And when I would try to put, now the question is, could I eh, get better at it? Yeah, I probably could get better at it, but with Clipchamp is just very simple, stupid, and maybe that's a good thing. I the only downside is my memory in my PC right now is all like kind of callywumpus because you know in order to have basically did this whole Linux thing, I had to kind of partition the memory to um between Linux and then Windows Manager, I really I just like you need to understand the thing that I was making these thumb drives from um to put the Linux on. It was eating the thumb drives. Raider, it was eating them. Yeah, it was eating them. And so yeah, so basically, it was eating them, and then it got worse because then once I finally I kind of went, is there something in Windows keeping me from switching to Linux? Like no, like let's be honest, like and nobody in a lot of the videos no one would even mention it about secure boot. And so you go into the boot drive and then yeah, there's a thing that says secure boot, turn secure boot off. I'm like, "Oh, okay." Turned it off, and then as soon as I went back to Windows Manager, bam! I got hit with like ransomware from Microsoft called BitLocker. And I've been trying to think of like a video because this would be a great rant video, but since this game's got scuffed audio, and that's my fault. I put too much faith in the game audio of the Kinhank, that the Kinhank wasn't too loud. Frater, we're going back to the new Frater versus retro days when the sound used to be terrible. And oh yeah, and you couldn't hear us, like you could barely hear us. Like it was pretty bad. So so then BitLocker is literally almost like a ransomware. You need to have a reference code to shut it down, and it'll lock your screen. And fortunately, I had a Alienware PC, so what I did was is I booted I went back, I turned the computer off, and then I went back to the boot screen. I booted, and actually that screen didn't pop back up, but I was very lucky because apparently of others I've seen, it doesn't matter what they do. That screen will always keep popping up, not allowing them to go to the F2, hit the F2, and go to the boot menu. So then I went to the boot menu and turned secure boot back on because I'm like, it's freaking out at me for having secure boot off. So I turned it back on so I can get back in. So then I can then find this BitLocker thing, and it's basically encrypted security for offline security. And it makes sense to have this if you're in a government facility, the army, you know, maybe an office building where there's trade secrets, things like you're trying to keep fairly strict, and you don't want someone just accessing your computer. And um, so all those things, and then before you know it, you turn it off, you turn it off, and you can't delete it. You can't delete the BitLocker, but now it's not going to bother you. So then you go to the back to the boot screen. I'm glad my HD's not kicking in. It's not going. You sure you did? Yeah, Frater, that happens where you're fought. Sometimes I notice you stray with your thinking, but not this. You're really tight on this. Yeah. So I booted back in. I I turned off secure boot, and that was it. And then the options opened up once I had it on. I did actually get. I successfully went through the steps to partition between Windows and Linux. And I know someone could say, well, no big deal. People do this every day. They never mentioned about the BitLocker, though. They may have mentioned secure boot at some point, but I watch some of these videos every once in a while because you get these guys, these real zealots. Like even Mudahar for a while was kind of like all about Linux, and then all of a sudden he wasn't. You're like, oh, it's actually not that secure. Actually, it's like, wait. You told me it was actually pretty good. So yeah, so Mr. Peck, so it's doing its thing. It's doing its thing. The only problem is it gave me an option. It is say, do you want to install this on your hard drive? And no, it didn't say that at all. Instead, what it said was, do you want to install it on one of these bigger external hard drives I have? I mean, I have one. It's like 20 terabyte. I have one 20 terabyte. Frater, you're way too much into archiving the internet. Hey, it's a hobby. It's a very powerful hobby. Okay. Okay, so calm down. You're really. So what happened next? Well, the one hard drive, I figured, well, I mostly just keep good old GOG games on that, and that's not a big deal. I mean, that stuff's kind of stored in a server anyways, and don't need it. and I had a bunch of old Twitch stuff, from like old shows, but I got some of that on like backed up on different hard drives. Although those are getting older and slower. So although I never watch them, so it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Um, so then, and then finally, of course, I go for the install process, and yeah, my Zorin is just a little slower because of the disconnect between having an external hard drive and the hard drive. But so far, I've been enjoying myself. I think wow, you say you're really enjoying yourself. You need some privacy, and oh no, not that joke. Oh no, the masturbation joke. Oh no, Frater, we can't say that word. What do you mean, like fuck and shit? And, oh, Frater. Okay. Yeah, dude, we're not monetized. That the way it works is like you don't get banned off YouTube because you said fuck. It's because you're monetized, and so you have advertisers, and then YouTube gets all sensitive and be like, well, you can't swear. That's not good for selling Kellogg's and stuff. Frater, you're gonna piss off Kellogg's. You piss off Tony the Tiger. So the the point I'm trying to say is this is a really good rant. You're really on a roll. I know I am on the roll. So I got Zoran, and it's like I said, is it now? This is kind of an interesting time in history. Um, this is a time when I'm recording this that there's a potentially a terrible, terrible, terrible patch coming from Microsoft that what it would do is um it would essentially kind of destroy your SSD and hard drive depending on the brand of it. And it was a kind of a big list. Oh, that's a lot of money wasted. Yeah, there's a lot of money wasted. So the only advice people are giving was like shut off the automatic installer. I mean, the thing just forces you. I mean, you'll go to bed and it'll just put install a patch on you. So the only thing I think you would need to do is you would need to go into the terminal or the console or whatever they call it, and to go in the terminal and um, basically use commands given to to not don't install anything until I tell you to, and which doesn't sound like a good idea, but you literally got to. Um, so like I said, this whole Linux thing is it ultimate. So you because you're hearing this episode, you go, well, things appear to be kind of going as usual. I mean, you must have figured it out, or well, let's talk about the spectrum here. So the worst case scenario is we just have to do everything on the fly on OBS in one take, which is gonna be funny. Which would be funny, and there would be no transition to anything. It would be, we would have to always start up when you see the OBS screen and stuff. You can't, at least with Clip Champ, I can at least cut things. Yeah, you can't say anything you can't say on TV or something. Well, you have to be very careful because if you get a community guideline strike for hate speech or something, the you could have avoided that if you had a proper editing system to kind of observe your episodes to see what slipped. Um, and then of course, of course, we're not talking about the game at all. So here's the deal. So you would go, well, how are you making this episode? Because you're still learning Caden live, and well, this is not OBS. I mean, well, you did use OBS for one, or maybe one or two things, but there's thoroughly some kind of an edited episode, and Oh, Frater, yeah. I was trying my PC. I think it was ready to go to sleep. It's like, I am using you. Yeah, I'm actually making an audio right now. So clearly that is activity. So don't be going to sleep on me, PC. So the, then, boy. Well, you've been going for 15 minutes, Frater. That's a lot of ranting. Well, listen, just let me talk about it. Athena is a stupid game. It's a crappy game. You see, yeah, I'm talking about Athena here. I'm not talking about Linux or Windows. Or talking about Athena, and Athena's a crappy game. Well, the arcade version isn't. I don't think the arcade version is that bad. Definitely a lot more colorful and nicer than that one more colorful and nicer game. So yeah, I didn't really get to. So like, there's Caden Live, and then of course you would ultimately go, well, how are you making this episode? How is it? Yeah, yes. So you go, well, you can't use Clipchamp on Linux, man. You can't. You look at the store, there isn't like a Linux version of Clipchamp. Actually, you can use Clipchamp on the internet. There is Microsoft allows you to do it. You have to log in with your account, and I have an account, so there it is. But, oh, at one point, I think I'm gonna have to do things in segments and then just edit the parts together, because um I think there's too many things going on my computer, so it's Clipchamp has a tendency to become unresponsive. It doesn't crash anything, but it's just the page becomes unresponsive. So then I put the episode together, and then I'm adding this audio because unfortunately Athena's all its sound is all messed up. Freighter, its sound is really bad. I I think what it is we were the settings were there because of well, there was a project we were doing with Starfield. Another group of characters was working on Starfield, and it was working just fine in that area. But like I said, not all these arcade games are the same as far as their sound. This game's sound, woof, was like loud. Oh my god. So, well, I think that so I'm adding this audio to this because I had to just get this all off my chest. It's not easy moving to something you don't normally use full time. I mean, I had messed around with Linux with virtual machines, but I never usually added much memory to the virtual machine, so you really couldn't do much. And s this is different, where you're actually going full time with as a daily driver, with Zorin Linux. And I love to be able to change. I can change the layout and desktop to anything I want. I mean, I can make it look like I could look like Apple. I don't use Mac, any kind of Mac products, but I did try one of their, like, a used laptop once, just to see what if I would like it, and I didn't really kind of it didn't mesh with me. I was a Windows person, so well, I could tell you're a Windows person. You turn you turned your Linux into Windows 95 because that was so basic. You could find everything in your computer all right there. Like why? Like why? Now, and another thing is oh, I'm going to call up Doc Matty here. I'll let him deal with this. Oh boy, Doc Manny. Boop, 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 boop. Hey, Daddy, hey, Frater. I was hearing your recording, and yeah, I think you want me to talk about some things. Yeah, yeah. So here's the problem. The problem is if we don't use Clipchamp, that means we don't got any TTS voices unless we find an alternative TTS. And so far, Clipchamp has been pretty good with the TTS stuff. And Daddy-O, and of course, me, Doc Manny. I love my Microsoft. Just don't like Windows that much. But yeah, we're trying to do the best we can here, Daddy-O. Is just doing the best we can. I'll give the phone back to Frater, but we gotta keep Algo around and keep all these characters that don't have just one kind of voice actor. We actually need a computer to act them out. Okay. Oh, he got his point across. Yeah, it's a good point. We got all these other characters, and we didn't really think about that. Yeah, well, we don't always use TTS characters that much on the show. Oh, yeah, so that should be enough. I'll see you next show.
About Sateringrad Production. Welcome to Sateringrad Productions. We specialize in spiritual books, comic books and old public domain books that have long been forgotten. We also have done artwork for war history books and fiction-based works. We recommend our Ethiopic Holy Bible Volume 1 that is quite popular and attempts to bring the Book of Enoch back into the Bible's list of books. The Ethiopic Holy Bible Volume 1 also has a few selections from Josephus, a Jewish historian, and also the book has Jubilee and the Apocrypha, which is also available in Catholic Bibles. Frater SH is an esoteric researcher who is out to reveal ancient knowledge, both known and forbidden. Frater SH has appeared on Joshua P. Warren Speaking of Strange, Kevin Smith's show, UFO Show, and Ghost Chronicles International with Ron Clark and Richard Felix, the historian from Most Haunted on the Travel Channel.